sun. Big up a little mini money, more and flower. You're the chosen one.
Hey everyone, this is Fan 101, and today I'm actually starting out with Supergirl because, you know, I kind of left the last review off on a, not really a cliffhanger, but like my opinion wasn't really fully made up yet. So I saw this episode, I thought I was gonna be like this. And the reason why I was like that was mostly because of the fact that it was like a full episode dedicated to Mr. Tinkerbell, as I used to call him. But when I saw the episode, I remembered one phrase that I always said. And it is that, well, let me tell you. You already know. Jane the Virgin gets better every single episode, right? It never lets me down. And neither does Supergirl, because this was, instead of it being a very intolerable, horrible episode, it was actually a hilarious and pretty creative episode. And a couple of minutes before the episode came on, I did some research and found out that that character's name is Mr. Mxyzptlk. And at first I was like, well, that name doesn't sound familiar, but since that character uses magic, I think I know him. And turns out I do, because Mr. Mxyzptlk turned out to be that little guy that used to always harass Superman and, you know, do his magic tricks on him and everything. That's basically where Mr. Mxyzptlk comes from. And if you don't know what the comic book version of Mr. Mxyzptlk looks like, then, you know, I'll put a picture here. There he is. I think the only thing that they did to change him was to make him pretty, I guess. But, yeah. He actually turned out to be a pretty entertaining character, you know? And I didn't mind him, actually, because I thought he was going to be absolutely unbearable. But he was actually a pretty good character. And the reason why he was harassing Supergirl so much was because he only wanted to find someone to love him. And I thought that was a pretty interesting story, because this is a Valentine's Day themed episode. Like, let's not get things mixed up here. This is a Valentine's Day themed episode, so whenever you see this episode and you see how, like, the overall setting of it, you're gonna know, like, it's a Valentine's Day episode. Especially with all the Valentine's Day stuff that's going on, because in the character development that's going on with Alex and Maggie, we find out that Maggie actually hates Valentine's Day because, you know, ultimately it's artificial. It gives companies an excuse to sell teddy bears and all that, which I agree with her too. I had never really liked the idea of Valentine's Day, mostly because of the fact that it makes single men all around the world look like this.
Making noises now? You look like the Incredible Hulk. Jesus, you're spitting on my shrimp. No. Oh, come on, wipe it off. Jesus Christ.
And me, myself, being one of those people, it makes me feel alienated. Not to go to a whole other discussion, but you know what I mean. So anyway, back to the episode. It definitely has a Valentine's Day type feel. And you know, I didn't mind it. I did not mind it at all. But one thing that I must say is that my favorite character arc in this story, well, in this episode, should I say, happens to be like what Mon-El is going through. Because Mon-El is trying so desperately to win Kara over because he already knows that Kara is in love with him. They almost kissed. And so now he's trying to do everything in his power to sway her over to him. But when Mr. Mxyzptlk comes over and he's basically harassing Kara, he's saying, look, the only way I'm going to leave you alone is if you marry me. He's basically doing everything in his power to say, no, you cannot marry him. I'm just like, wow, they're really fighting for Kara here. I found that pretty interesting. But yeah, actually, James is nowhere to, from my knowledge, James is nowhere to be found in this episode. Like, if he was somewhere, I didn't see him. But, you know, if he was in the episode, let me know in the comments down below. But to my knowledge, I don't think he was in the episode. Win is there, and I have to say, although I liked the thing he was going through with the we're trying to find a date for Valentine's Day, and he finds this alien woman, and that saves him at the bar. It saves him at the alien bar, and you know, he takes her out on a date. I did like that, but I felt like it dragged on for a little bit. I'm not going to lie. Like, once again, I liked it. I thought it was a great character arc, but you know, it just dragged along. That's all I'm saying. Overall, though, this was a pretty good episode. It is definitely not as bad as I was expecting it to be. Because I was expecting it to be an absolute piece of crap, leaving me looking like this. But ultimately, it wasn't really, like, it definitely was not the absolute abomination I thought it was going to be. So having that said, seeing as though I only had one flaw with it, I'm going to give this episode a 9 out of 10 because really, I thought this was just going to be a terrible episode and that was going to let me down, but ultimately it was pretty good. So yeah, I'm SpyFan101 saying peace.